guys, this is Sean McGarry coming to you live from Cincinnati, Ohio, home of the music salon where great things happen. Hope everyone is doing awesome out there. Today we got a fun little lesson, man. Kind of an uptown sound, Uptown Blues, right? We're going to talk about how to get that sound. On my Patreon page, I'll have a full breakdown of this lesson with tabs. So let's get rolling here. So, you know, I think of the uptown sound, I think of a little swing, a little feel. So it's just a blues, it's a 1-4-5, right? So if you're playing like a basic blues, you know, that's cool, right? But this is more of a, let's just start with that little groove here. I like this. Now, one of the big sounds you want to try and get with this is this minor third to major third. That instantly gives it kind of to me, a hipper sound than just a, not that there's anything wrong with that. There's a time and place for everything, obviously. But let's look at this. So if we're in the key of G, well, when you play your minor pentatonic, right, check this out. Scale everybody knows and plays. Whenever you get to that G string note, I don't care what key you're in, if you just play that box pattern, every time you get there, that is your minor third. That's a good thing to know, right? Okay, so, sorry. And then your major third is one fret above it, right? So that's a real easy little thing to memorize, you know. So check it out if you're going, here's minor, there's major. So anyway, that's the first thing we want to think about is the location of those two notes. So now if I go, I'll put that in the form of a little double stop here. I'll go. And I'm using my thumb to grab that G bass note. So a little tricky here. Take your thumb and we're going to hit that note, right? So do that, go. And then go. You can't see, but I'm really tapping my foot. I'm really trying to feel the pulse. Let's just do that together for a minute. We're gonna go. Space, right? Space. Space. And you can add a little. Little fills, little rhythm accents, and that's also where you can put other fills in. So like we get that rolling, that's the one chord G, right? So again, I'm going. That's just a great vamp right there. You can do little licks off that. But let's stick to this rhythm I was playing on the intro here. So I was doing this kind of thing. So now I was adding a little fill to this. I was going. Okay, so that little double stop, you probably played that before, right? And just so you know, that little double stop comes from your triad, your D7 shaped, your G7 D7 shape. So if this is a D7, right there is G7. Well, you can trace it right to that. So check this out. There's your little double stop out of that. You hear that all the time in rock and blues, man. So like if I'm going, I'm just sliding up to that. So practice this. We're going. Work with that. That's a really cool lick right there. 3 and 2, 3 and 2, 3 and. Okay, so that's kind of the feel. Now let's keep this rolling. So I'm gonna go. Now look at this. You could almost think of that as part of a C triad, or just, a double stop part of G. There's lots of ways to think about this stuff, without overanalyzing it. But that's just harmony right there. So to hold it a lick. right? And then when I get back to this shape, I go back to that little hammer on a minor third, major third. So all together, we got this. We got. That's kind of the groove. I'm playing a little sloppy. I play a little sloppy there, actually. So, but again, let me dial that back in and play a little better. So if I go. It's that little getting back into it that's tricky. Okay, so that really covers the one chord. And again, there's some little variations I did that I'll break down on my Patreon page. But that's going to get us started, right? So that just covers your one chord in G. And then I went to the C9. And here's, it's pretty basic stuff, but it's really about the feel. It's that uptown kind of groove, right? Now when I go to the C9, I will talk about this for a second. And I get asked this a lot too, like, you could play all kinds of variations of this chord, but one of my favorites is just this C9. Now, the great debate or great discussion is like, this stuff is, you could also think of this as like a G minor triad, because it shares the same notes. Look, if I put the major third of C in, well, then it becomes C9. So it's very similar sound, like if I do. I like this kind of stuff if I go. There's G minor. They both work over that, and I'll get more into that later, but that C9 I'm playing is just... What I do is I lay all my fingers flat. And I like that, and I'm not even really hearing that major third. And some people say, "Why do you do that?" It's just a habit I developed, a long time ago, and I started learning this stuff because I didn't even know what a ninth chord was. I just heard it and figured it out by ear when I used to listen to old James Brown cassettes in my basement. I'd heard that, and now I hear this kind of. So that's why I play my 9. I don't mean to get long-winded about it, but it's important to kind of break this stuff down. Okay, so now when I go to that 4 chord, the 9, I'm going. And this is the most common trick in the book. Half-step variation. I can go up or back. Check this out. You can hang out in a whole area and do all kinds of fun little rhythm stuff. Okay, so from the top we got. Okay, now I'm not going to get this right here. But I did this cool little lick where I went to like a 2-5-1, where I went to the and resolve that. I'm going to talk about that on my Patreon page because that's kind of a big topic here. But I'm going to continue talking a little bit right now about some of this other stuff. But so when I did get to that 5 chord, I played like a variation of a. That's really cool stuff. Like I said, I'll get into that in my other lesson there. But let's stick to this topic for a second, just kind of vamping over those first couple chords. So when I'm playing this, you got all the stuff you can do. And this is really fun stuff, man. Like you want to think of, okay, I could play this, which is really like a minor 9 or a minor 7. Let's back up even further. There's a G minor, there's a G7. So you've got all these different options depending on the sound you're going for, I know I'm not playing in a minor key. I was just trying to show you could kind of see that for a second, because once you do this, all bets are off. It goes to that major sound. You're getting that. Here's your G7. This is very important stuff. To get that 7 sound, just take your middle finger off, your pinky off, lift up, and this is your flat 7. And a lot of people go through life not even really realizing what's going on when they play that chord, and I think it's important to realize that. So again, if you play just a major chord, that's called your flat 7. If you do that arpeggio, try it with me. You can hear that sound. Major takes that away. So you've got all these little characteristics inside the scale. You got your flat 7, your minor 3rd, your major 3rd, all right there. And this is how we have all these little embellishments, you know. Once you play that, you can stay on that chord all day long and play all these little variations of the chord, you know. I can go up here to, the G up here. Okay? I like these little voicings, so if I'm playing up here. All these surrounding chords are right there. Okay, so that's a lot of fun. So what I would start off is just doing that little vamp. And then throwing little licks in between it. You know, again, it's that call and response that, ask yourself a question and then answer it, right? So if I go, here's a question. Answer. Question. Answer. So that's, what I consider like an uptown kind of groove, just kind of funky and stuff. Now, if you click on over to my Patreon channel, I'm going to break down that whole little intro piece and throw some stuff in and talk about some ideas for getting a little more jazzier with it. So, hey, thanks for watching. If you haven't done so yet, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps me out, helps the channel out. And I really appreciate everybody's support. Stay awesome, and we'll see you next video. Thank you.